Let's take a look at domain and range from a graph. So the domain is a set of all x values. This is the numbers that you'll see as you're moving from the left to the right of your graph. So I've got this graph here, and I'm noticing that it starts at an x value of -5, and then moving to the right. So I'm going left and right. -5, and the graph keeps going all the way up to an x value of 4. So I'm just going to highlight what this looks like here at -5, and I'm noticing there's an open circle. So an open circle at -5, so it's not including -5. And then this thing, I'm going to draw that as a big open circle. There we go. And this thing goes all the way up to +4, closed circle, including it. So whenever you're looking at domain, you're dealing with the x values. So if I'm describing the domain of this thing, I would say it's the set, the symbol means set. I'm looking at x values such that x is between, and then this goes from -5 up to 4. Now, trying to figure out if there's supposed to be lines or no lines underneath these inequalities, but because usually you have x's sandwiched between the smallest number and the largest number. If it's an open circle, it doesn't include that value, so you do not have a line underneath it. If it's including it, like this +4, then you do need this line underneath it. Another way that you can write the same thing is in interval notation. You can say this thing starts at -5, comma, and it goes up to +4. Now, if you're including the value, like we're including the 4 closed circle, you want a closed bracket. If you're not including the value, like -5, no line underneath it or open circle, then you want a parenthesis. So my domain, that's left to right. This thing went from -5 up to 4, not including the -5, but including the 4. Let's look at range. Range are your y values, and your range is going to go down to up. And I think that down to up is important. So I like to start at the bottom of my graph, find the smallest y value, and keep going up. So I'm going to clear my graph here, and I'm going to do this in a different color. So I'm identifying my smallest y value, and that happens way down here at a y value of -22. I'm noticing at -22, it is an open circle. So this thing is going to start at -22, and it is not including it. So no line underneath it. Now this graph goes up, all the way to 3. So this goes from a y value of -22 up to a y value of 3. Range looks at y. Now, if you're wondering, well, what about the second half of the graph? Well, those y values are already included. So this thing is going from -22 to 3, and every value underneath it. So that's the smallest the y is, that's the largest the y is. It might do some interesting things between -22 and 3. It might be all kinds of wavy and stuff, but these are the y values that it covers. And I got to make sure this says y here as well. I'm looking at y values. If I'm writing out the interval for this thing, I would say at -22, it is not including it because you got that open circle. At +3, it is including that y value. You've got a closed circle. So domain, these are your x values. And again, this is your left to right stuff. Your range, that's all about your y values. Start down at the bottom and go up. So that's domain and range from a graph. Hope you found that useful.